Okay, yeah. So maybe if we talk about each one in turn. And so the first incident was...
about 10 years ago now.
Okay. So we might... the reason we trimmed it up to 5 years was because we were thinking that, you know, over time things change and hopefully in the right direction.
Yeah, well, he had a good experience. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I will ask there, because I did notice that in that instance, you diagnosed... Was it you that told them that he was on the autism spectrum?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that they did seem to change their behaviour. You assumed that they potentially might have talked to somebody?
Yes, I think so, because it was a domestic violence situation where he had harmed me and tried to hurt his brother.
Right.
And I called the police and they took him away. Mm-hmm. But I think in between interviewing him and that, they explained to them that I had told my son before that, because he'd threatened me many times, and thrown things, that he'd actually connected. And I had been telling him that if you hurt me or your brother, I will call the police. So
sure.
When it happened, I followed through. And, they charged him and took months going through court, because I think that the court process, again, they were seeking advice on how to proceed. So there were a number of times we presented, and in the end he got a suspended sentence and no charge as long as he met certain requirements for that for 2 years or something. Yeah.
And were you there when they interviewed him?
No.
Okay. So what was it that they did potentially differently that made you assume that they'd gotten some advice about how to manage things differently?
Because of his descriptions of it and the way that they dealt with me when I arrived at the police station to take him home.
Okay, and what did they do?
They spoke in a very level tone.
Right.
And they were asking him if he was okay. Mm-hmm. And they checked with him that he was not going to have another outburst.
Okay.
But they did that in a very respectful way, and in just their tone of voice and body language, I think, was respectful and not authoritarian.
So you just had a sense they were being a little bit, in inverted commas, softer with him, maybe than, and it made you think, that they're being a little bit different to how they might be with someone who, was assaulting someone. They just seemed to be giving him a little bit more, leeway, if you like. Yeah. And was that something, it sounds like you were appreciative of that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And you also said what he told you led you to believe that. So what did he tell you?
That they took him to a room and they told him that he was going to be in there, for a period of time, and then they would come back.
Right.
And they did come back.
Yep.
And they asked him apparently what led up to the situation and did he understand that he'd broken the law.
Right.
And they gave him some written information about assault.
Yep.
And what is assault. And they told him about the charges and explained what was going to happen.
Okay. So it sounds like, they're doing a little bit of education.
And they must have done it in a way, in that respectful communication tone, or he wouldn't have taken the information in.
Right.
He just would have been distressed about because he, on and off after that, he was, you know, oh, the police are stupid, they've overreacted, this is dumb, and he didn't want to accept it. But then I'd go back to the information that he was given, and yeah.
So are you saying that if they hadn't used that kind of softer, more respectful tone, that he maybe, would his anxiety of, like, when you said it wouldn't have gone in, is that because he would have become so anxious that he wouldn't have been able to process, or he would have just got...
Oh, yeah. He would have still been yelling and banging the walls and, you know, trying to get out of the room.
Okay, so that being kind of more respectful de-escalated it, whereas if they'd been more authoritarian, which you said earlier, you believe that would have had an opposite effect?
Absolutely, because he would have been afraid. And when he's afraid, he appears angry to a lot of people.
Okay. And just this is a hypothetical question. You told them first up that he was on the autism spectrum.
Yeah.
Is he a guy that if police had have been called or came across him doing that same behaviour and they had have acted maybe off their own advice without any kind of heads up from you, would they have recognised in your son that he's a guy that they had to take this more softer approach? No.
I don't think so.
No. Okay. Would your son know, do you think, to tell the police in a similar situation that he was on the autism spectrum, or that, you know, he had any...
Especially if he was upset, he would not think of that at all. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
He might now.
Yeah. How old was he then?
18.
And he's 28 now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's done a degree in psychology.
Okay. So even now it's only he might?
Yeah.
Okay. And why is it that he might or he might not? Is it because it wouldn't occur to him, or it may or may not occur to him, or is it that he may make a conscious effort to disclose or not disclose depending on how the situation was?
I think that it would take a conscious effort, and if he was in distress, he would not be processing things to be able to do that.
Okay. Have you ever had a direct kind of conversation with him saying, you know, along the lines of, if you were to come into contact with police, it's important that you tell them that you know, are on the autism spectrum or that you have some additional needs? Have you kind of explicitly told him that?
Not specifically about the police, but that if he needed help or, you know, was unwell, that he should tell people.
Okay. And does, at the time that you tell him that, when he's calm, does he agree, or does he say, I don't want to disclose, it's, you know, private, or I'm not comfortable with that?
Yeah, I think he doesn't feel comfortable with that. Like he would maybe think it was inappropriate.
Okay. Is that in the context of police and emergencies, or is that in the broader context of telling anybody?
Of telling anybody.
Okay. All right. And then that would maybe extend to police. All right.
Yes.
Okay. So.
But if somebody asks him the question.
Yes. Yep.
Do you have any
anything I should know about, or whatever?
Or do you have any mental health diagnosis or difficulties? He would answer the question.
Okay. Yep. Now, I did notice that was your comment, that you believe that the police should ask that question when somebody's acting in a way that's maybe a little bit different or potentially concerning, that may be a good idea to kind of say that up front. And in your son's case, in that first son's case, you believe that he would yes, I have something, yep, even though he may not volunteer it himself.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. All right, thank you for that. So we might move to your other son, and the incident. So his incident was somebody